I was going to try and make a positive video about this series, specifically about Brayan Bello, but I think we just need to go negative here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and over this last 3 days, the Boston Red Sox did not win a single game against the Miami Marlins. That's right, they got officially swept in a 3-game series, and it was honestly the perfect storm of just straight up crap that may have led to the bottom of the barrel, the lowest point for the Boston Red Sox in 2023 so far. The big question is, where do they go from here? So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down this latest series. We're going to try and pull any positives that we can out of it, and there are a couple of positives. Then we're going to talk about all the negatives that happen in this series, really what's going on with the Red Sox in general, why I think this is hopefully the lowest point of the 2023 season, and we're going to talk about where the Red Sox go from here. But before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we get into really what's going wrong with the Red Sox right now, let's talk about the positive takeaways from this series. And there are, in my opinion, two big positive takeaways. The first is obviously Brayan Bello, who started the 3rd game of this series and had his best start of the season by far this year. He ended with a stat line of 7 innings pitched, 1 earned on 2 hits, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. But that doesn't really tell the full story because Bello was shut down for the first 7 innings of this game. In fact, he had a no-hit bid going into the 8th inning where he gave up a really fluke hit, and then he gave up another kind of sort of fluke hit, and then he was taken out of the ball game, and then Chris Martin allowed that 1 earned run to score. Brayan Bello was truly magnificent in this series. His season ERA is down to just a 3.08, and his FIP is down to just a 3.71. Those are top line statistics, right? Borderlining on ace level statistics, and over his last 10 games, he has been a true ace caliber pitcher. This kid is cool as ice, and he continues to improve every single game, which I love, right? You see something a little bit different from Brayan Bello every single start, it feels like, and every single start it feels like he's getting better. This was by far and away the biggest takeaway from the Marlins series, at least in terms of positivity, and Brayan Bello is becoming must-watch TV. I absolutely love Brayan Bello. He's becoming the highlight of this entire season. Now, the other positive takeaway from this series is that Rafael Devers had a good offensive series, which is something we haven't been able to say for a little bit, but this is now the 2nd series in a row where Rafael Devers had a home run, Rafael Devers went 4 for 11, and Rafael Devers had a hit in every single game, which is fantastic, right? Rafael Devers has been struggling so hard this year in terms of just consistency, a lot like the entire rest of the team, which we'll talk about in a second, but for him to come out over these last 2 series and be able to get on base every single game and be able to produce for this team every single game. His power stroke is coming back, which was missing for a little bit, right? So Rafael Devers and Brayan Bello were the 2 positive takeaways of this series. But outside of those 2, there really wasn't a lot of positives to talk about. Again, outside of those 2, there's really not much to talk about positivity-wise. In fact, in my opinion, this may be the new low of the 2023 Boston Red Sox, and hopefully it's the lowest point of the entire season. They have officially lost 5 games in a row. They have not done well over their last 10 games, right? They are now 40-42 on the year, so below 500, and they are 5 games out of a wild card spot. And the worst part about all of this is that it's not that one thing is really troubling the Boston Red Sox, it's that everything is sort of falling apart right now, and at some point you got to put it back together, right? So let's break it down by category here. The Red Sox offense was absolutely miserable in this series. You played 3 Major League Baseball games and you were able to score 2 runs. 2 runs in 3 games. Now, I understand that Miami is some of the best pitching in baseball. I get that, but the Red Sox also had one of the best offenses in baseball for a long period of time. You should be able to do damage against these types of pitchers, and I'm not saying they needed to score 8, 9, 10 runs, but 2, 3, 4 runs would have been absolutely fantastic, right? Getting just a couple of runs across the board here in these games outside of just 1-2 runs would be absolutely awesome. In fact, the Red Sox have been struggling with scoring runs and struggling with runners on base for a while now. Specifically in this series, they hit just 133 or went 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position, and they ended up leaving 18 runners on base. Again, outside of the 6-game winning streak in the entire month of June, and honestly for a lot of May as well, that was a big problem. Getting these guys across the plate, looking for those big hits. And we talk about the big hits all the time, right? But they just simply are not coming for the Red Sox. And again, it's not just one player. It's not like we can sit here and be like, hey, Adam Duvall, figure it out. We need you, buddy. It's everyone. It's every single person on this Red Sox lineup that when they get up with runners on base, you almost expect a ground ball double play or a pop-up to the third baseman or a first pitch bunt that gets bunted into foul territory just to get caught in the air and a rally is ruined, right? That's sort of what you're expecting from this Red Sox offense right now. And it's not just with runners on base, it's in general. Over their last 8 games, this team is hitting just 184 with 9 total extra base hits and are averaging 1.4 runs per game. 1.4 runs per game is not going to lead to a winning record, right? It's not going to be a recipe for success. And again, the most frustrating part about this Red Sox offense is you could sit here and you could try and tell me that this Red Sox offense is bad. It's not. It's not bad put together. Justin Turner, Alex Verdugo, Jarren Duran, Masataka Yoshida, Rafael Devers, Adam Duvall, Tristan Casas, right? These guys can hit. These guys have the ability to be a top offense in baseball because we saw them be a top offense in baseball, and yet it feels like the entirety of the Red Sox offense is falling apart. And then it goes to, who are you going to blame here? Who is the big problem here? Like I said, there's not one player here, so is it a philosophy problem? Is it a team approach problem? Is it a coaching problem? At some point, you got to say, hey, you can blame GM, you can blame Chaim Bloom, you can call him the devil, whatever you want to do, right? You can blame Alex Cora, you can call him incompetent, you can do whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, the players are the ones on the field, right? The players are the ones who ultimately have to be able to show that they can compete. And right now, that's just not happening. So as much as you want to find someone in the front office or at the head of the team to blame, it comes down to what the players do on the field. And in my opinion, that's the biggest problem right now, especially offensively. The offense is simply not performing, and it's the most frustrating thing in the world because we've seen them perform quite literally at almost the highest level in baseball. So for me, the biggest frustrating part about this series was by far and away the Red Sox offense. If you want to talk about pitching, right, the rotation's kind of in pieces right now. You've got Garrett Whitlock, you've got James Paxton, who's been incredible. You've got Brian Bayo, who is phenomenal, right? Whitlock, solid, right? I don't want to poo-poo Whitlock too bad here. He did have a bad start in this series, but he's still growing, he's still learning, he's still trying to be a starting pitcher. Then you got Cutter Crawford, who's like half stretched out to be a starting pitcher, right? He's much more effective out of the bullpen currently than he is in the starting rotation. The big problem here is that it's not really on the rotation right now, right? It's on the rotation injuries, definitely. You've got Chris Sale, who's going to be out for a while here, although we did get positive news this week, and you've got Tanner Houck, who's going to be out here for a while after his surgery, which was successful, by the way. So when you're looking at the rotation, right, it's like, what do you do to fix the rotation? Well, you either bring somebody in or you just hope and pray that it patches itself up and that Cutter Crawford and Garrett Whitlock can really give you some solid outings, which again, shouldn't really be expected from Garrett Whitlock and Cutter Crawford, who are new to this rotation, who are still trying to figure out how to be a starting pitcher in baseball, right? When you look at the rotation, it's not really the fault of any one person. I don't think it's a Dave Bush problem because the guys who are going out there have been fairly solid for you. It's the fact that you just can't stay healthy in this rotation, and the depth that you had at the beginning of the year is now dwindled down to absolutely nothing, right? You lose Chris Sale, you lose Tanner Houck, Corey Kluber gives you absolutely nothing. Josh Winkowski is not a starting pitcher. He needs to be in that bullpen. Cutter Crawford is still learning how to be a starting pitcher, so you don't really have that pitching depth that you had at the beginning of the season, and it's all due to injuries, so the rotation's a mess. Looking at the bullpen, right, it's coming coming down to earth quite a bit here, and it's because of, well, the rotation's a mess. So you're taking out Cutter Crawford, who was a huge piece for you in the bullpen. Josh Winkowski is really coming down to earth here. He has not been the same Josh Winkowski we saw at the beginning of the year. Nick Pivetta has been solid for you, but not consistently reliable, which consistency is the name of the game in this Red Sox team here, or I should say inconsistency is. You've got Chris Martin, who's been fantastic, who really didn't deserve any earned runs or any real problems in this series. Kenley Jansen has been fine, right? I don't think if we're talking about problems in this latest Red Sox series, Kenley Jansen giving up a home run in the 9th inning of the 3rd game when the Red Sox quite literally had 2-3 hits all game isn't really the reason we lost that game. No, the bullpen has been solid, I would say, most of the year, but it's running thin, right? You don't have Schreiber, Cutter's in the rotation. You've got guys coming up and down from minor leagues because the 2 left-handed off-season signings or left-handed off-season acquisitions just simply couldn't put it together. And it's just, like I said, it's just a perfect storm of problems throughout the entirety of this Red Sox team. Then you got the Red Sox defense, right? Do we even really need to dive deep into the Red Sox defense? In this series alone, there were like 10 errors that didn't end up getting called errors. They somehow ended up getting called singles. There was one play where it bounced off Kenley Jansen, it bounced off Christian Arroyo, it bounced off David Hamilton, who ended up making an error. It was like 3 errors in one play. The Red Sox defense has been abysmal this year. And again, who do you blame for all this? Do you blame Chaim Bloom? Do you blame Alex Cora? I don't know, because at the end of the day, Alex Cora and Chaim Bloom can't exactly go out there and put your glove to the ball and put the ball in your hand and then throw the ball for you. At some point, the players have got to do that, right? And right now, it feels like, to me, it's the players that just aren't performing on the field, in the batter's box, sometimes on the mound, right? It is wildly frustrating right now to watch this Red Sox team. And I think the biggest reason why it is so frustrating is because of the fact that we saw the highest of highs, right? We saw what this team put together fully healthy, good to go, and playing on all cylinders looks like. They look fantastic when they're playing really well and when they're all playing together, right? We know what that looks like. What's frustrating to me is that, yes, this has been a mediocre season and a mediocre team altogether, but you've had really high highs and really low lows. There's been really no middle ground the entire year, right? It's sort of averaged out, but you've had really great series and really bad series. You haven't really had these, you know what, it's fine, right? Whatever kind of series. We don't really have that. We haven't had the month where it's like, they've won 2 games, they lost 2 games, and they've continued to do that throughout the entire month. No, it's been, they win 6 games, and you're like, look it, they're doing the thing. And then they lose 6 games right away, right? And it's just, it is the most frustrating thing in the entire world. And so to me, this may possibly be the bottom of the barrel, the rock bottom for the 2023 Red Sox so far. My biggest question is, where do you go from here, right? For me personally, I think this being rock bottom, I'm okay with whatever happens next, because if they continue losing, it's like, yeah, they've been at rock bottom for a while now. It is what it is, right? Let's watch these young pieces grow. Let's watch them develop. Let's see how they do. And let's figure out if we can get to a close to winning season. And if they do start winning, even marginally going forward, it's good news for me, right? Because we're at the bottom of the barrel now, and it's great. They're starting to climb their way up. That's fine, right? So for me, we're at rock bottom right now, and I don't know if it can get any worse than this, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this latest series? What did you think of everything that went on? What do you think of the 5-game losing streak? What do you think about this possibly being the rock bottom of the 2023 Red Sox? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox series in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.